Welcome back to another episode of Think About It. I'm Mike Romey, Dean of the Business School. Last week spoke to Emily about our assistant dean about the corporate sponsorships and other things that we're doing on campus to engage the students. One of the things that we really have put as an emphasis on is to bring the alumni back to campus, and how do we go about doing that. And this morning, Dr. Gregg Keiffer, who is the assistant executive dean of academics for the business school, is going to talk about the fact of being an alumnus and what it means to come back. So Gregg, welcome, and look forward to hearing your thoughts.
All right, well, thank you very much. I appreciate the introduction. For those of you that we never intersected here, I'm an alumni of HBU from the mid-90s. I currently serve as the Executive Associate Dean for the College of Business, working with Mike Romey and Emily Butler. Really, HBU and HCU now is part of my family heritage. My sister graduated here, and she had her undergraduate and graduate degree both. I met my wife here on campus. Stacy graduated a year before I did with her concentration in art and art history and her teaching certificate, and she recently finished her MFA here back in 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic. I earned a BBA combination degree when we had the dual concentrations back in the mid-90s. Finished that in 96 with a management and SISM degree, and finished an MBA in 97. 2 kids in the high school, and Grant's going to be here next year. He's already been committed and accepted into the cyber engineering program, and Claire will be following a couple years after that. So HCU is a family tradition for us. I'll probably interchange HBU and HCU because as an alum, we've got 35 plus years of being HBU here. Extremely excited about the name change going to HCU because it really embodies who we are today as a Christian university and addresses the marketplace from that side. Mike, you'd asked about the role that I currently play here for the college. And I think it's interesting to talk about why I'm here at the college as well, because as soon as I graduated, it was one of those get out of school as quickly as possible and go out into the marketplace. And that was the mindset at the time. As I finished the undergraduate in 3 years and immediately went into the MBA program while working full time, and finished the MBA program within about a year. We had the ability to do kind of an accelerated program at the time because we were in a quarter system. Comparatively, we're on the semester system now. Still, it's still feasible to finish in those 3 years. And so, but the idea about, for me, getting out into the marketplace as quickly as possible was my idea at the time. Spent a couple of decades in corporate, and eventually how I ended up back here at the university was the concept. My organization at the time was recruiting college students. And so we were coming to campus, and we were recruiting here at the campus of HBU at the time. And I ran into my old marketing professor, Dr. Rusty Brooks. And I had been doing some soul searching, getting close to that 40-year mark where everybody starts to think about, well, I'm into my corporate career, I'm thinking, what's next? What's different? What's going to happen next, right? And so I had a conversation with Rusty, who turned into a mentor. And I said, Rusty, I'm thinking maybe another master's degree. I think that's another direction I'd like to go to kind of supplement, broaden my exposure, broaden my educational base. And he said, don't do that, just go get your doctorate degree. It's about the same amount of work. To which that is inaccurate. The doctoral process is much more complex than another master's degree. But that initial conversation, literally standing there at the career fair with Dr. Brooks, led into a long mentorship, a great idea about how do you extend your education? How do you retool yourself? What's the professional development perspective of going from corporate citizen into higher education professional? So I thank him greatly about that. That embodies what we're talking about with the alumni, the staff and faculty that we have here on campus today. But that journey led into a doctoral program. Eventually I had the opportunity to come back to the university as faculty, and that was a brand new, complete career for me. And now I'm serving with you within the college administration as the executive dean. Part of that rolls into the concept of the curriculum development. And we're very excited as we march towards the goal of 10,000 students to say what new programs do we need to introduce. Things such as we've talked about with the healthcare administration degree, other ideas about a banking program, a commercial real estate program, and also thinking about graduate level programs such as a Master's of Science in Leadership and Organizational Studies. those are the embodiment of the new programs. We're also looking how to upscale the current programs, all with the idea and the scope of continuous improvement with our accreditation standards. So those are the, when we think about curriculum development, when we think about the role that I play, that's one big paintbrush stroke at that. But we're also thinking about the Leadership Institute and how do we bring that stronger into the university.
So to that, one of the things that when I came on campus, it really intrigued me was the opportunity to really have a centralized place for faculty, for alumni, for students, for administration, for everyone really on campus to come and join together. And so the idea of the Leadership Institute, which is not a standalone at this point, but is all-encompassing. And one of the things that we did is create an introduction to business class that you're teaching. And you have a very strong skill set in teaching, and you've done a fantastic job with that. Would you like to talk about that and how that's going to lead to the Leadership Institute growing?
Definitely, and I think I'd like to start with describing how the Leadership Institute genesis came about from the conversation with the student that the idea is many of our students are first-generation students. Many of them have never been to college before, obviously by definition, but their parents never had the opportunity as well. I'm a first-gen student as well. My parents extremely supportive with that concept of education, but it was go to school, get good grades, and finish as fast as possible and go earn a paycheck. So go to school, but there was nothing beyond the concept about what does going to school actually mean. The conversations that Stacy and I get to have with Grant and Claire are much deeper from that idea that we understand what college and university life actually means and the benefits. It's not just academics. There's a lot of other activities that we do, which is really where the Leadership Institute came from. The idea that from a first-generation student, the conversations that they are not able to have at home or within their community, we can help with that by having a deeper conversation on this side and bringing individuals to campus. You talked about engagement. This is the whole idea of the entire Leadership Institute, which is the platform for engagement to bring the community to campus, to bring the faculty together with the students, to bring alumni back to campus, to be a mentor, to be a coach, to come back to guest lecturing, whatever the case may be, within the Leadership Institute. So that's the mechanism that we're putting forward, talking with the students, engagement platform, and bringing that community back together. The class specifically, it's the 1305 class, the World of Business, our introductory business class. Every business student is required to take this particular class. Some of the kinesiology students are taking the class as well as part of the sports management program. And then anybody who's doing a minor or a certificate in business has the opportunity to take the class too. We talked about continuous improvement and retooling parts of our curriculum. This is one of the classes we identified as being such a core, essential component of it. And the conversations we had is we wanted to hit those students early. So a traditional student coming in, traditional four-year university, this would be the first class they take in their first semester with us. And we wanted to set that stage for them and say, here's what business is, here's the survey of all the disciplines of business, but also bring in on a weekly basis guest lecturers. So they have that opportunity to hear from professionals that have been out in the marketplace for 20, 30, 40 years, whatever the case may be, and professionals that have started their own businesses, individuals that have been CEOs of organizations, individuals that have failed multiple times and brought themselves back up and started another business. It's been amazing this semester to look at the scope of individuals that we brought in. Half of the individuals we brought in have been alumni. They've been game-changing. Brandon Baca came in from Attack Poverty, a wonderful fraternity brother down here that's doing great work in the nonprofit sector down in the Richmond-Rosenberg area. Lee Joe Joseph, who just happens to be the president of our alumni association for the university, came in, talked about human resources and the experiences that he's had. None of these individuals have had a linear path. And so that's one of the misconceptions that we really wanted to bring forward to the students is that if you have a plan, that's great, but God's going to knock you down and he's going to put that own plan in front of you and sense and respond along to that. So each of these guest lecturers has been able to describe that path and how they had a plan, and as soon as they wanted to go execute their plan, that failed for them. And they had to sense and respond and trust and live with God to be able to bring that plan forward from God's perspective for them.
So as we improve the College of Business, the Dunham School. There are things that we really have in our sights, and one of them is accreditation work that's being done. So the Leadership Institute falls right into that, and working with the alumni and doing that falls right into that path. Can you talk about that and what that means for the school?
Definitely. So accreditation, traditionally, when individuals think about it, they look at accreditation as being strictly academic focused. Are you teaching the proper classes within the proper disciplines, and do you have instructors, professors that are qualified academically to teach those classes? But accreditation is actually much broader from that perspective. It includes continuous improvement within the academic scope and everything that we've already talked about. But accreditation is also concerned about how do we work as a college of business across campus? How do we interact with the College of Engineering? How do we interact with humanities? How do we interact with the arts? That is just as important to have that multidisciplinary approach, and how do we bring students across campus between. Leadership Institute is a mechanism to help do that, right? It's that cross-functional barrier that we try to eliminate, the siloed nature that we try to eliminate. Folks that have been working in industry recognize that word of silo, that multiple industries have siloed effects to where you can't even go across the aisle to talk to somebody because you're working in different departments. University life tends to be very similar with multiple colleges under the university umbrella. So accreditation from our perspective is to help lower those barriers. The Leadership Institute is our mechanism to break some of those barriers down, and to say we want students from all over campus. We want alumni from all over campus. We want alumni from, no matter if you were a psychology major and now working in business, we want you to come back to assist and aid our students and mentor them within the College of Business.
Well, it's interesting because the way I think about it, having come from the business world, there isn't anything on campus that doesn't eventually fall back to the business world. Even if you're an artist, if you're a nurse, whatever, it all comes back into play that you're in business of some sort.
Yes.
And so those skill sets are very important, that we are getting our students prepared to go out and handle the various things that are going to come at them as they take on these roles in the business world. So I think in the essence of time, I think it'd be good to where do you want to go with the alumni? What is it that you're thinking about that the alumni have missed? I know I've had many conversations with alumni, and it's been every time that they come on campus and the first thing they say is, "Wow, what a beautiful campus! What a great place! This is wonderful. I'm so happy that you reached out and brought me back." So talk about that and how meaningful that is, and because we do want the alumni back on campus.
And that's a very good segue into my thought about the concept that virtually every alumni had an experience of some sort here on campus. That varied for every individual. Everybody had an individual experience, but what you remember as HBU is what HCU is today. It still embodies that Christian spirit, and still embodies that there's a tight-knit group of students, highly caring faculty and staff and administration across campus. Dr. Sloan has a culture that he's built of Christian caring. The core convictions explicitly state that, no matter which direction that you read those and from levels that you read those and how the orientation comes in. The concept of what you gained as a student eventually turning to alumni, we want you to come back and help our current students have that same experience. Come back and provide that rich alumni experience that you've recognized as a student time here. Come back and provide that for our students as well. The idea that even if you haven't been back to campus, and your office physically is one of the best offices on campus in terms of the view that somebody can stand there and see virtually the entire campus from, towards 59, about the Brown Building, Sierra Sharp Gym, the College of Science and Engineering buildings and everything on that side. but we have new facilities, new buildings that if someone hasn't been to campus in 10 years, they're going to be flabbergasted by the amount of growth and just the beauty of the campus. Quentin Rockwell, who came to the commercial real estate event a couple of weeks ago, he hadn't been on campus for, I think, about 7 or 8 years. And so he and I walked around a bit together, and then he went off and explored the campus, and we intersected on the way back, and he was just shaking his head about the campus is so much more than what it used to be. And so that's the physical embodiment of what he could literally see. What Quentin is now seeing, because we're interacting, he's one of those alumni that reconnected and came back. And so I texted him yesterday that I have a student in my 1305 class who's thinking, I don't know what I actually want to go do. These guest lectures have come forward and said, I think I want to go explore commercial real estate. So I said, I have somebody I know that you need to connect with. So I texted Quentin. Quentin says, definitely, I want to talk to the student. And Will Sheely, same idea. You know, so different aspects of commercial real estate. Right. That's the body of alumni that we want to bring back. So the charge that I have to alumni that are out there listening to this is that if you haven't been to campus for a while, if you haven't interacted with the university, we want you to come back. We want you to serve. Think about the activities that you did as a student here. Think about the power of being involved with the campus. We want you to come back, serve, be involved with us as well, and bring that back to the students. Come back and serve. If you want to be a guest lecturer in a classroom, if you want to teach a class, if you want to have attend the events that we have across campus, and if you want to be a mentor to our students. It doesn't matter if you're a College of Business graduate or if you're a graduate in psychology, nursing, et cetera, et cetera. You have a valued skill set, and we would like to use that to benefit our students across campus. And the best way to contact us for that is at business@hbu.edu.
Thanks, Greg. It was great to talk with you, and our doors are always open, our minds are open. We are transitioning after the pandemic into a new world for the students, for everyone. And one of the engagement is, as we've seen, has really taken a step up, and how important it is for mental health issues, those kinds of things. And so we want to play a part in helping others and being at the forefront of making that happen. So thanks for being such a great partner, and appreciate you taking the time today to have this discussion.
Likewise. Thank you, Mike.